And this week, that's exactly what I did. I dove into Sidney Powell's past, her present, her history, her relationships. I mean, I even wrapped it up by watching the actual body cam video when she was arrested on the day she killed her mom. And I gotta tell you, Sidney Powell was not a stressed out college student. She was not a fan of The Bachelor like the other girls, and she was not an honor roll student anymore. She was a liar, a lurker, a manipulator, and also a killer. Welcome back to another week, another Sinister. It's me, your favorite Hot Topic employee, Bose. Well, I don't know if I'm your favorite, and also I didn't work at Hot Topic. How are you supposed to trust me? I've already lied in the beginning of the video. I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the channel. If you have been enjoying Sinister, we're actually going to switch up and try to do Sinisters twice a month now instead of 4, just to focus on video quality. And also, I want to put out other creative stuff on the channel. That means the Sinisters that you do get will be much, much, much more refined. And this week, this is a case where I've actually watched the trial footage before, and I've seen the prosecution opening statements. At the time, I didn't know that much about the case. I let the court unfold it for you and for me. But this week, I'm getting in with every detail that I possibly can about Sidney Powell. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen anything like this before. This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. You can head to squarespace.com/sinister or put Sinister in the checkout code to get 10% off of your first website or domain purchase. You have to know what Squarespace is. But if you don't, it is a website building platform that has every single thing that you could possibly need. SEO help, email marketing, creating a shop, selling courses, whatever you want to do, it's all in Squarespace. And look, for me personally, creating a design on the website is kind of the most anxiety-inducing part for me. Like, I'm not very aesthetic, so I don't really know where things go. If you're like me in that aspect, Squarespace has hundreds of designs that you can just scroll through and choose from, and everything is completely customizable. You can just click on something, change the color, add an image, add text, whatever. And in fact, within about 10 minutes, you know how to use everything on the website. It's pretty fun to play around. And this is coming from somebody who's really bad at figuring out aesthetic stuff. Look, if you have a business or a portfolio to share, whatever it may be, you need a website. Go to squarespace.com/sinister or put Sinister in the checkout to get 10% off of your website or domain. Sidney Powell was born March 21st, 2000 in a town called Akron, Ohio. From the outside looking in, Sidney's life looked nearly perfect. And here's the kicker. From the inside looking out, Sidney's life still looks pretty perfect. But let me not crash out right now. Let me get to it, okay? So she grew up in a 2-parent household with her parents, Brenda and Steven. And that's kind of the first thing for me. All too often, I go through cases where, the dad's not in the picture, or maybe the mom is in and out of the picture. We're raised by grandparents. We're in the system, something like that. Nope. Sidney has the first 2 pieces already in order. I mean, guys, raise your hand if you only had one parent or no parent present. She already won half the battle, okay? So not only are Brenda and Steven, her parents, happily married, they have one other child. Sidney's got a little brother, and everybody's just working and doing their thing. Now, you guys know, funny little detail about me. If we can, I love to see the childhood home. I don't know, it just kind of helps paint a little picture of what their life was like. I've seen cases where somebody grows up in a 6-bedroom mansion, and then I've seen cases where, there's 5 people in a 2-bedroom house. And I think this gives a lot of information. So for Sidney, she grew up in a 3-bedroom home with 1 bathroom. It was about 1,013 square feet. Single family home built in 1957. So, this kind of tells me everybody's got their own space in the house. They all have a bedroom. Everybody's got to share a bathroom, which can kind of be a pain for a teenage girl. But listen, in this house, we have everything we need, okay? We have love. We have siblings and parents to lean on. There's always food on the table. Her parents were constantly encouraging her to do more and trying to save up a little college fund for both the kids. I mean, look, we got all the pieces. Now, as far as Sydney's demeanor, when she was younger, her grandma actually described her as sweet, soft-spoken, and thoughtful. She would remember things about the family members, conversations they had, birthdays. Like, Sydney was on top of it. It seemed like she cared, but also she had very gentle energy. Now, when she was 14, she attended a school called St. Mary in Ohio. It was actually a Catholic school, but, sometimes the super religious or the all-girls schools, boarding schools, whatever, they really can mess people up. Sydney thrived here. I think that also says something about her character. She was really good at fitting in. She didn't want too much, didn't want too little. She was easy to be around. Even in a private school where the hierarchies are a little weird and everything is so cliquey, Sydney, it just worked for her. In fact, she stood out because her grades were good, she was pretty well known, she was soft-spoken, and she didn't want too much. She just was happy to be there. People liked Sydney. She fit into their world pretty easily. She went on school retreats. She was invited to ski trips. She was the captain of a soccer team. She even took on a bit of tutoring, and she was mentoring younger students. Sometimes people do all of these things because they want to be on top. They're like, look at me, look at me. Sydney was a community member that everybody was happy to have. I mean, she just fit in like a puzzle piece. She got every invite. She was on top of all of her work, and people liked her. Sydney was known to have quite a bit of anxiety. And, she's gentle and soft-spoken, so she doesn't always reveal these anxieties. But I will say they were very, not strange, but particular. One instance of this says, quote, her grandma once noticed that she became a little antsy once a barn bucket was overfilled with water. It was something that most kids wouldn't think twice about, but Sydney honed in on. So what I take from this is, she and her grandma are in the barn one day, and there was a bucket that just had water filled all the way to the brim. And Sydney not only didn't like that and felt anxiety around that, but her grandma noticed that this gentle, soft-spoken child was completely fixated on the bucket of water and the fact that it looked like it was going to overflow soon, and she couldn't get her mind off of it. This is something that happened to her when she was much younger, and I can only imagine what other type of very particular anxieties that Sydney had. Maybe some of you guys resonate a little bit with this thought process and what other anxieties can be tied to it, but I think this is a really pivotal moment that just gives us a little more color into how Sydney's mind works. Because I saw that body cam and I don't know what is going on. You know what, guys, sometimes in Sinister, I think some people are just literally just off their rocker. So during this period of time, Sydney had no history of mental health visits, breakdowns, guidance counselor visits, nothing. She was a happy child. And I don't just mean, something was bubbling under the surface or anything. Really for Sydney, the only thing bubbling under the surface was her extreme anxiety that she hadn't really found any coping mechanisms for. And guys, hey, how many of you guys are the anxiety monster? You are the embodiment of anxiety. If that's you, I need to take a minute to pat you on the back because apparently some people just cannot handle their anxiety that it gets to this point. Look, I know some of y'all watching are 10 times more anxious than Sydney Powell ever was and will ever be. And you are wearing it proudly and you are wearing it well. So just a moment for y'all because this chick just has anxiety. She literally just has anxiety. Okay. Sydney cruises through school, going all the way up until 2018. And look, she made all of her parents' dreams come true because she was well liked in school, she got good grades, and this got her a partial scholarship. Her parents didn't have a whole lot of money, and they were saving up for both of their kids to have a little bit of a college fund. And so Sydney earning and achieving this partial scholarship, this is like the dream. And to top it off, Sydney and her mom are best friends. And look, I don't mean best friends like the type of mom that tries to turn their daughter into the friend they never had or the overly attached mom. No. Sydney's mom, Brenda, was the type to go to work, treat her daughter like a daughter, not a bestie. But at the end of the night, oh my God, let's watch The Bachelor. Okay, Sydney, it's time for bed now. Brenda was a true mom. Kind, warm, not your